Good evening and welcome. This is News First, where the people come first. For the Newsfirst team, I am Azra San with our sign language interpreter for tonight, Brandy Cruz. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Queues for gas and fuel grow ahead of New Year festival. Fertilizer shortage to affect cultivation during Yala season. 16,000 metric tons of rice imported under the Indian credit line. Ready for talks with protesters at Galle. Prime Minister says protests continue opposite President's office. Multiple protests demanding government's resignation. Coalition of 11 parties present conditions to work with President. Revelations on crisis within government. Don't buy parliamentarians, opposition leader tells the government.
The people's protest at Galle is continuing for its fifth day today. Nisal Suryarachi reports from opposite the President's house in Colombo.
As you can see behind me, the people are here in their numbers. There is water, there is food, there is sanitary facilities, there are tents for people to sleep, and there is everything that the people need because people have donated. People from Colombo and all of other areas in Sri Lanka has joined together and they have come to the President's office for the fifth consecutive day.
That was Nisal Suryarachi reporting from opposite President's office in Colombo. Now, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has said he is willing to meet with the protesters who are engaged in the protest opposing the social, economic and political crises in the country. The Prime Minister's office said that an invitation would be extended to the protesters if they are ready for talks.
People from many parts of the country stayed overnight opposite the President's office in Colombo. Protesters say they are engaging in the demonstration by using their right to freedom of expression. They say that they would not hold the demonstration until the government, including the Prime Minister and President, resign over the present crisis.
Our discussions are really clear. The people have talked about it and people have said what they want. So the Prime Minister has nothing to discuss anymore. He just have to get what the people want.
I think the Prime Minister doesn't get what we are doing here. The message is clear. We want the government out. We don't want any discussions on that. We just want the government to leave because it's enough is enough.
අපිට සාකච්ඡා ඕනේ ගෙදර ඵලයන් ගෝඨා ගෙදර ඵලයන් උඹ ගෙදර යනකම් අපේ උන්ට අවුරුදු නෑ ගෙදර ඵලයන් ගෝඨා උඹේ සාකච්ඡාව උඹේ පවුල් පිටින් උඹව තියාගනි ගෝඨා go home. Enough is enough.
Veteran artists Somaratna Disanayake, Somaratna Senanayake and Jayanta Chandrasiri also joined the demonstrations today. They must leave instead of destroying this country. Please return the stolen wealth to the people. That is what the people are saying. That is what the country is asking for. Listen to the people's voice. We are requesting the President, Prime Minister, the ministers and parliamentarians to resign from the government. When the entire community is rising up, then the rulers will have to listen to the people.
නිදානොයිද නැගිටියෝ එකම බිමක් මත එක හුස්මට දැය නගාලන්න හෙට නිදානොයිද නැගිටියෝ නිදානොයිද නැගිටියෝ.
Several others, including former national test cricketers, joined the protest today. There is no petrol, diesel, milk powder or medicine. They must take responsibility for this and provide relief to the people. They must make the necessary changes. Even when they go to parliament, they focus on their problems. It doesn't matter who comes to power. They must give up on their greed for power. We are very proud of the younger generation and the elderly crowds here. They are expressing their voice. We must create a good culture. We had one earlier. People need a good standard of life. All of us must support this. That is why I came here.
මේකට සපෝට් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒකයි මමත් අදායි.
මිනිසුන් වෙනුවෙන් ගොඩක් හොඳ දේවල් වෙන්න අවශ්‍යයි ලංකාවට. ඉතින් ඒ වෙනුවෙන් අපි හැමෝම එකට නැගී සිටලා මොන හරි හොඳ වෙනසක් ඇති කිරීමට අපි හැමෝම උත්සාහ කරන්න ඕන.
Some protesters were hospitalized after falling sick during the demonstrations. They continued the protest despite heavy rains. A group of Buddhist monks participated in a protest near the Manampitia bridge, demanding solutions to the crisis in the country. The Buddhist monks who are standing here independently are the ones who backed this government into power. They can't bear this any longer. That is why they are standing independently now. The people are under tremendous pressure. They're accused everywhere for sugar, cooking gas, petrol and even diesel. We don't have any shame to be here today. The Rajpaksas must go home. But they are dancing to the tune of Jnana Akka. Buddhist monks also organized a protest near the Nikavaratia hospital today. We feel that everyone, starting from the President until the Prime Minister, Ministry Secretaries and the Chair of State institutions are responsible for this crisis. We wish to remind the rulers that they can't deceive the people anymore. Therefore, listen to the voice of the people. We are demanding for relief to be given to the people who are under a tremendous burden. Students of the Rajarata University held a protest opposite the new bus stand in Anuradhapura today, expressing their frustration over the current government. The students then participated in a satyagraha opposite the Anuradhapura bus stand in support of the protests that are taking place at Golfers in Colombo.
The Health Ministry says there is a shortage of medicine and other medical supplies at state hospitals. The ministry says it has drawn up a plan to manage the crisis and to ensure a continuous supply of medicines. Now, the Health Ministry noted that it has received funding up to $10 million from the World Bank to purchase medicine. But the Department of Government Information yesterday said that there is no shortage in medicine and medical equipment at present. Today's statement by the Health Ministry has said that the Department of Government Information must rectify its statement.
Employees of the Kandy National Hospital held a demonstration against the government. There is a major medicine shortage at present. We had to temporarily stop many surgeries because we don't have anesthetics. The Health Services Director General has issued a criteria for us to follow when using medical supplies. We are telling the Health Minister and the Director General of Health Services that the medicine and the equipment lasted this long because we were being cautious all this time. If health workers looted medicine the way they looted the COVID-19 funds, the patients would be dead by now. The Director General has told the papers that there is no shortage in medicine, but he had already sent us a letter telling us to be cautious on the 8th of April. Employees of the Double Base Hospital staged a protest today afternoon, citing that patients don't have sufficient medicine. Visitors also showed their support for the protest. I brought 50 kilos of rice, set up a hut and distributed milk rice to the people at this location. I feel the pain of the 6.9 million people. We elected an utter fool. I am 55 years old. My life was greatly affected by the riots in 1988 and 1989. My kids have taken to the streets. But this is not the resistance we saw back then. It didn't result in resistance like in the 1980s. That is because the youth these days post content online. But that's what Mahinda wants. He wants the youth to form a resistance like the one in the 1980s. They are still living in the 19th century, but the youth is modernized now. They will win the struggle. The staff of the Badulla General Hospital also expressed their displeasure over the government by staging a protest today.
Sri Lankan expatriates are adding their voice to the ongoing protests against the worsening crisis in the country.
A demonstration had been organized by Sri Lankans in the Norwegian city of Oslo today.
I want to say stand together. Okay, this is, we all know it's a hard time, but stand together, stand as a nation. Don't buy into ideal politics, anything. It's all about being a Sri Lankan, what it means to be a Sri Lankan.
Sri Lankans in the US city of Chicago also organized a demonstration today.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ 225ක් ඉන්නවා ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් ඉන්නවා. හරිනම් මේ වෙනකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න තිබ්බා.
A protest had also been organized in the Italian city of Bologna against the Sri Lankan government.
We're just a few hours away from the dawn of the new year. Now, instead of spending this festive occasion with their families, many are now in queues for fuel and gas.
Long queues for petrol were seen in Colombo and its suburbs since this morning.
My children are arriving shortly and I want to show them Sri Lanka. And we're not able to because we haven't got any fuel in our tank. This is so sad to see such a beautiful country. We love Sri Lanka. Your people are lovely. Political side, I think we feel the same way as the majority of people in this country. You shouldn't have to suffer with this. You should be governed properly.
I think we can survive, but I feel for the people who perhaps don't have the earning capacity that I have, because they are really struggling.
Long queues for petrol and kerosene were seen at filling stations in Ratmalana today.
කිලෝමීටරයකට වැඩි පොලිමේ ඉඳලා තල්ලු කරගෙන මේ එනවා. බලන්නකො මේ ආණ්ඩුවට කිසි ගාණක් නැහැ. අපේ කපුටු මහත්තයා කපුටු සාහන තමයි මේ අපි දෙන්නේ දැන් අවුරුදු සාහන රසක් දෙනවකුවනේ. ඒකෙන්ද මේ සාහන ගන්න දැන් මේ ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නේ. මේ දැන්වත් ගත්තු හොරකම් කරපු ඔක්කොම දීලා යනවා නම් මේ රටට ලොකු සෙතක්.
The filling station run by Lanka IOC in Mavanala remained closed today. However, long queues were seen at the Sipetco filling station to purchase petrol and diesel. Filling stations at the Ambalangura town had run out of diesel today. Long queues were seen to purchase petrol as well. People continue to stay in queues at a filling station in Mathura despite heavy rains. Filling stations had run out of both petrol and diesel. Many filling stations had been closed in Kandy and its surrounding areas. Long queues were seen at few stations that were open.
මල කරුමයක් අපි ගෙවන්නේ අර කොළඹ අරගලෙන් අපිට යන්න විදියක් නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ ජයග්‍රහය කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරන්න.
Long queues were seen at a filling station in Baddegama in Gaul to purchase petrol. A protest was held against the delay in fuel supply by obstructing the Gaul-Mapalagama main road in Karapitiya. A protest was held by obstructing the Kataragama Hambantota main road after fuel wasn't sold at a filling station near the Gabada junction in Hambantota. Long queues for petrol were seen at filling stations in Chilau. These fuel stations had run out of diesel. A long queue for diesel was seen at a filling station in Valisara. Employees of the Litrogas Lanka had been granted leave from today until Monday. The petroleum storage terminal in Kerawalapitiya was deserted as a result, but there were long queues of people to purchase cooking gas across the country. People continued to stand in queues in Nagoda in Gaul despite heavy rains to purchase cooking gas. A gas dealership in Poddala in Gaul received a new stock of cylinders after about a week today. A tense situation arose after the police intervened to distribute cylinders only to some people yesterday. They continued to stand in queues despite the heavy rains. A demonstration was held by blocking the Gaul Mathura main road as gas had not been sold at a dealership in the area. Residents of Kandy blocked the Kandy Dudanwala road at the Dudanwala junction last evening.
Farmers who began cultivation for the Yalla season today say that they haven't received fertilizer. Now this has raised concerns over a possible drop in harvest. The Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum says improving the agriculture sector will allow Sri Lanka to overcome its present crisis.
Farmers in Anuradhapura have begun cultivation for the Yalla season, but a fertilizer shortage has sparked concerns on whether they can reap a good harvest.
මේ පොළව සකස් වෙලා තියෙන 1948 ඉඳලා රසායනික පොහොර වලට මුන්ට මේ එකරයෙන් කාබනික වගාව කරන්න බෑ කෘෂිකර්ම ලංකාවේ පනලා දිනවා ඒ නිසා මේක මැරෙන්න දෙන්න එපා මේක විනාශයටපත් වෙන්න දෙන්න එපා පින්සිද්ධ වෙයි මිනිස්සුන්ගේ පොහොර ටික දැන්වත් ගෙනල්ලා දීපල්ලා ගිය අවුරුද්දේ මාස් කන්නේ සෑහෙන පාඩුවක් ලැබුවා මේ යූරියා දෙනවා කිව්වා ඒ දුන්නෙත් නෑ දැන් මේ කොම්පෝස්ට් දෙනවා කිව්වා ඒත් ලැබුණේ නෑ අක්කරයකට සාමාන්‍ය විමිටි 50ක් 60ක් ගන්න කන්නේ මේ පාර අක්කරයකට 20ක් වගේ 25ක් අතර තමයි ලැබුණේ.
The Department of Census and Statistics says agriculture contributes to 9% of the country's economy. What caused the fertilizer crisis? How did this affect farmers and the country? Last year, the government made a spontaneous decision to ban the use of chemical fertilizer, disregarding the advice of experts in the sector. Ultimately, it was the farmers who had to pay a heavy price for this decision as they battled with a drop in harvest and a rapid growth of invasive plants like weeds. Repeated arguments by farmers that organic farming cannot be practiced immediately, although it is favorable, fell on the authorities' deaf ears. Ultimately, farmers lost a major portion of their harvests. As the demand for fertilizer continued, the government paid more than $6 million for a Chinese organic fertilizer shipment that was never unloaded. The importation of liquid nano nitrogen fertilizer from India did not bring about desirable results either. Farmers who used to reap a good harvest were forced to watch their fields run barren. This resulted in a shortage of rice in the market. Farmers say the cost of rice may exceed 250 rupees if the current trend continues. Today, Sri Lanka's market is witnessing a high presence of rice imported from India, Myanmar and China. Farmers say they hope that the next cultivation season would at least turn out to be favorable. The Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum says failing to resolve the problems of the agriculture sector will affect the country's economy and food security. In a statement, it said the country needs both a short and long-term strategy to uplift the agriculture industry. Short-term solutions include a steady supply of seeds and fertilizer to farmers and declaring a national crop plan for each season. The statement added that a government advisory body of experts should be set up to contribute towards the agriculture industry. The Agripreneurs Forum has also proposed several long-term solutions, including upgrading storage facilities to store crops, developing an entrepreneurial mindset among farmers, incorporating technology into agriculture, and promoting the development of value-added products. The statement added that the impact of the government's decision to ban chemical fertilizer and pesticides will prevail in the long run due to economic reasons. It noted that alternate solutions and indigenous fertilizer that have been successful must be adopted during farming.
A consignment of 16,000 metric tons of rice imported under an Indian credit line reached the Colombo port today. Sri Lanka State Trading Corporation Chairman Yoga Pereira said this includes 7,000 metric tons of ponni samba and 2,000 metric tons of white kekulu rice. The rice consignment will be distributed and sold at Satosa outlets from today. A kilogram of ponni samba will be sold at 130 rupees and a kilogram of white kekulu rice will be sold at 110 rupees. The Sri Lanka State Trading Corporation said another rice consignment imported under the Indian credit line would reach Sri Lanka next week. The government had said it would sell concessionary food packs at Satosa outlets. People gathered at Satosa stores to purchase these food packs today. Our cameras captured the situation outside a Satosa store in Kandy.
බඩු ගන්නවා මේ සීනි හාල් අරම ඉතින් මුකුත් නැහැ සීනි පාම්පිටි මොනවත් නැහැ
දෙනවා කියපු ඒ වගේ හාල් පමණයි 110ට පරිප්පු නැහැ අල නැහැ සීනි නැහැ කිරි පිටි නැහැ පිටි නැහැ ඒ කිසි දෙයක්ම නැහැ.
People had also queued outside a Satosa store along the Anagarika Dharmapala Mawatha in Matara.
මුන්ට කරගන්න බැරි නම් යන්න ඕන ඊයේතාව අදත්තාව හාලුත් නැහැ සීනිත් නැහැ.
For many people of Sri Lanka, life has become increasingly difficult. Mounting problems continue to affect their lives ahead of tomorrow's New Year festival. Hundreds of people are in queues even at present to purchase the bare essentials in many areas. But for Sri Lankans, the rising issues have never snatched away their quality of sharing and empathy. Gammadda has taken the initiative to distribute food provisions amongst many of these families. The objective is to keep as many people possibly happy for the Sinhala and Tamil New Year festival. Yes, we cannot help everyone who needs help, but that is not a reason to do nothing. Gammadda, by the people, for the people.
News First with the people.
Former chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Anure Ekanayake, says Sri Lanka's net foreign assets is at negative levels. He made these remarks during this week's Face the Nation program on News First.
Central Bank weekly report, latest one shows that we still have about $1.7 billion of reserves. But there are questions as to whether those reserves are actually usable reserves or not. What people don't focus on is the net foreign assets. And net foreign assets of the central bank is now about minus $3.6 billion.
Former Central Bank Deputy Governor Dr. W.A. Vijayawardena said the central bank has miscalculated its foreign reserves.
Central Bank has published these data of foreign reserves of the country by making an error in the account because it has added the 10 billion yuan soft facility which Sri Lanka had got from China as a part of Sri Lanka's foreign reserves, which is not the correct figure, because the 10 billion can be used only for the purpose of importing goods from China. Because when we add something to our foreign reserves, those foreign reserves should be available to us for general purposes. When we take out this 1.6 billion US dollar worth of swap facility from China, actual foreign reserves as at the end of March was about say 124 million US dollars.
In a joint statement, 11 economists have called on the government to use its foreign reserves only for critical requirements. This includes importing fuel, food and pharmaceuticals. The economists said that relying too much on short-term credit lines such as swaps have caused extreme damage to the economy.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has said that parliamentarians must not be paid to switch parties. Now, in a tweet, he said that parliamentarians are not for sale and that such acts indicate cheap power. Lawmakers from 11 political parties who have decided to sit independently in Parliament held a media briefing today. They said that the government, including the Prime Minister, must resign from their positions.
අර හිටපු මුදල් ඇමති බැසිල් රාජපක්ෂ එයා තාම මැච් එක අතහැරලා නැහැ. අපේ පක්ෂයේ 11 කණ්ඩායමේ එක മന്ത്രിවරයෙක්ගේ ගෙදරට යනවා.
Former Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa hasn't given up yet. People like Renuka Pereira, Sanjeeva Edrimana and Katagoda, who are stooges of Basil Rajapaksa, are visiting the houses of the parliamentarians in our 11-party coalition. They go at 2 a.m. and leave at around 8:30 in the morning. They propose to give us ministerial positions. This shows that Basil Rajapaksa is still trying to play his way around the country. If Basil Rajapaksa, who brought the country to this position, assumed that he can continue to act like this, we won't allow that to happen.
දුෂ්ට වැඩ කොටසක් කරපු බැසිල් රාජපක්ෂලා හිතනවා නම් මොනවා හරි අටෝගෙන ආයි මේ රටේ දේශපාලනයේ ගේම් ගහලා යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. ඒක අපි ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ පරිච්ඡේදය අවසන් ක්‍රමේ ඔලුගෙඩි සෙල්ලම පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඇතුලේ කරාට එළියේ මේ
They can only play the numbers game in parliament. The trust held by the people on this government is diminishing daily. That is why the youth of this country, irrespective of any political affiliation, are chanting "Gota go home" at Golface while holding placards. It means they don't trust the Rajapaksas anymore. They are also chanting "Gota go to jail."
විශ්වාස කරන දැනකටපත් වෙලා නැහැ. උන් සියලු දෙනාට ගෙදර යන්න කියලා කියනවා. ඒක එහාට ගිහිල්ලා "Gota go home" නේ "Gota go to jail" කියලා කියනවා.
The Samagi Janabalawegya is collecting signatures for a no-confidence motion against the government and the impeachment against the president. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has signed these motions during a meeting with his parliamentary group yesterday. The Tamil National People's Front has signed the no-confidence motion to pledge their support. The party's parliamentarians Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam and Selvaraja Kajendran had signed the motion at the opposition leader's office.
Colombo Mayor Rosie Senanayake says that credibility, financial discipline and democratic system of governance must be established to change the current situation in the country. In a statement, the mayor emphasized that the need for all political parties in the opposition to unite and play a leading role in this regard. She added that the opposition must now dedicate itself to the responsibilities that it has been entrusted with. And that's a wrap of this edition of Primetime News. But before we leave you tonight, all of us, ordinary citizens, are going through incredible difficulties. Let's be honest. After reading this news bulletin, I and all my colleagues at Newsfirst have to stand in queues with you. We have to pay our bills like you. We have to take care of our families like you. So we are definitely in this together, which is why we are hopeful, because we can face this together. We have each other. What we at Newsfirst have seen reporting over the years, and especially over the past few weeks, is the amazing resilience of our people. Yes, times are tough, but Sri Lanka, we are tougher. Together, united, we can take care of each other and we can overcome. And what better time to renew this commitment than our new year? Subalu Taurudak Beba, Sri Lanka. I'm Azra Hassan. Take care and good night.
News First with the people.